Hey everybody, Nicholas here, and you are listening to the Hound on the Run podcast. If you are new here and just tuning in for the first time, allow me to introduce myself. So I am a writer, a YouTuber, and a podcaster, but really more than anything, I am a hound enthusiast. I am completely obsessed with my dogs, the ones you see here on the screen up here on this road. So that's what I spend my time doing. I spend my time out in the woods with these dogs, following them around, and they take me to some incredible places, and I'm so excited to share some of that with you. This podcast is really an outgrowth of my obsession with these dogs, and on this show we cover a wide range of topics, all centered around hunting with hounds, dog training, the wild animals we chase, the lands we chase them on, and the political and cultural issues that affect myself and my fellow hound hunters all around the world. So I'm so glad you're joining us today. Without further ado, let's get into the show. So we have several important and interesting news stories to cover, but before we get into that, I just wanted to do a little follow-up from last week's episode. So last week I talked all about this issue that's come up where a big timber company, namely Weyerhaeuser, has prohibited hound hunters from accessing and hunting on their permit properties. So they sell these land access permits that you can buy. They're kind of expensive, but a lot of people think they're a good deal because they give you access to so much land. So like the one I had a couple years ago, I got 20,000 acres that I could go and hunt on. Well, I can't do that anymore because they've prohibited hound hunters from bringing our dogs onto their permit properties. So last week I talked all about that. But today I wanted to share a really great comment that I got from a viewer who left it on YouTube. So let me pull it up and share that with you here. Okay, so this comment came from Jeff Settle 7457 on YouTube, and it reads as follows. I've bought 2 of their Oregon permits and 2 of their Washington permits since day one. Hunted my dogs on these permits for years. I had hounds for years, but now I run beagles on the rabbits on their property now. Love being able to run my dogs on their property because I didn't have to worry about anyone bothering my dogs when they were running. I rarely shoot any of the rabbits and I don't sell any part of them. We would always run our dogs in Washington until the season got over on March 15th. Then we would head to Oregon and run them until the rifle season would start. It's nice in Oregon because we can run rabbits year round. I buy these permits to hunt deer and elk, but I also bought them to hunt my dogs. It's ridiculous how we get looked down upon just because we run hounds. It's funny how much we get harassed just because we have a dog box in the back of our truck with our hounds. And it's yes, it is ridiculous that the bird dog hunters can still take their dogs on their property, but we can't. I have complete control of my dogs because I run GPS tracking collars on them, so they are never out of my control. Very well said, Jeff. That is exactly, you pretty much mirrored exactly what my feelings were on the topic. So thank you, brother. Thanks for chiming in. Really appreciate you taking the time to leave that comment. So anyone else, if you have anything else to contribute to, any other thoughts you want to contribute to that topic of, one day we have access to these properties, the next day they're just yanked away from us. So I know there's a lot of people upset about this as a, just like me. And yeah, I'm gonna keep talking about this because ideally I would like to be able to access their properties again because it's great hunting, and it just seems pretty unfair that the bird hunters can go with their dogs, but us hound hunters we get the boot. So, anyways, moving on. Okay, so going into our main topic of the show today. And the question is a hound season coming to South Dakota? Well, good news is that that's a serious discussion that's happening right now in South Dakota. So I did a little bit of research on this topic, which was brought to my attention by an Instagram post by Mr. James Van Geistel. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. This photo of this beautiful lion here was on his page, and he I wanted to share what he wrote in his post because it really summed up this issue very well. But before we get to that, so basically what's happening is in South Dakota, they can hunt, I believe they can hunt mountain lions, but they haven't been able to pursue them with hounds, except for one area. So there is an area in South Dakota that I found, it sounds like a state park or something, where they do a permit, a draw permit system where you can draw a permit to go and on a hound hunt there with, for mountain lions. But basically this issue's come up again, or the issue of basically they are now talking seriously about expanding the use of hounds for mountain lions in South Dakota. So here is a little snippet from the South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks July Commission meeting. So the commission accepted a petition to expand the use of hounds for the mountain lion season. The petition would allow the use of hounds within the Black Hills Fire Protection District for residents only with a harvest limit of 12 cats, 6 males and 6 females. That's very limited. This would be included with the overall Black Hills Fire Protection District harvest limit. The petition is now a proposal and will enter the rule promulgation process. And this was provided by the South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks, posted on July 28th. So they're talking about it. And this is from an article on the South Dakota Public Broadcasting website. So, hunters across the state are requesting a pursuit season for mountain lions. This season would be in addition to normal mountain lion harvest season, but would end with shooting cameras rather than guns. A pursuit season allows hound hunters to tree mountain lions but not kill them. It currently does not exist in South Dakota. The season would allow houndsmen to run their dogs without adding to the mountain lion harvest limit. The houndsmen participating in a pursuit would need to purchase tags. So that's kind of weird. That's kind of strange. So they're saying it's a pursuit season. You can't kill them, but you still need to purchase a lion tag. Okay, so that I'm gonna bookmark that as a question I need to follow up on. Moving on, continuing on with this article. So Patrick Weimer is the vice president of South Dakota Houndsman Association. He said a pursuit season would allow houndsmen in the state the more opportunity to do what they enjoy. Quote, what a pursuit season essentially is what we like to call tree and free. We track the animal, we tree the animal, and we do what we enjoy. We take photos of the animal, we enjoy time with our family, our friends, our dogs, and we let the animal go, said Weimer. End quote. Treeing mountain lions is how South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks has been collecting DNA samples for years. So they're saying like this, there's been hound hunting, hound pursuit has been happening in South Dakota for a long time now. So now they're just looking to expand that to the public so that the rest of us can enjoy it. According to GF&P, treeing does not cause increased anxiety in the animal and is the safest way to collect DNA samples and track the state's mountain lion population. Okay, so when I was researching this and trying to get a better idea of the whole situation, it was kind of funny to me that I actually found an article where officials were warning residents that there was a mountain lion in the area and they need to watch out for it. So here's that article. Mountain lion sighting prompts warning from Eastern South Dakota Sheriff. Sheriff's office in South Dakota is urging residents to keep an eye out for mountain lions after one was seen lurking near a golf course. And this is published by the Associated Press. A sheriff's office in South Dakota is urging residents to keep an eye out for mountain lions after one was seen lurking near a golf course. The Minor County Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post Saturday that the animal was seen on the edge of the town in Howard, a community of about 850 people on the eastern side of the state. South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks officials are investigating. The sheriff's office urged people to keep their children and animals out of harm's way and to be aware of their surroundings, especially from evening to early morning. South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks has estimated the state's population of mountain lions is at 277. So that's not that many. Like they say here in Oregon, they say we have 6,000, but I've heard some from pretty reliable sources that it's way higher than that, probably around 8 to 10,000. Don't quote me on that. I am not a biologist. That's just what I heard some guy say, who's an official resource. Okay, so when I was researching this, it kind of brought the question to mind of what is the hound hunting situation like in South Dakota to begin with? So is there any hound hunting currently allowed in South Dakota? And it turns out, it sounds like there is quite a bit of hound hunting that is allowed. So I've pulled up the regulations book for South Dakota, and here's what it says regarding dogs. Dog use while hunting big game. No one may use a dog for hunting big game except for the following. A dog that is leashed and under the control of a handler may be used to track and retrieve any big game animal that is wounded or presumed dead. Now that is cool. I really hope that we get our laws changed in Oregon to allow big game hunters to use dogs to recover their animals. To me, there's no downside to doing that. There's only an upside that more animals will be collected from the field and their meat and hides utilized. So I have no idea why they don't allow that to happen currently in my home state of Oregon, but it's cool that they do let that happen in South Dakota. Continuing, the use of dogs, and this is again still in their regulations book. The use of dogs to hunt mountain lions is only allowed during those specified hunting intervals at Custer State Park that allow for the use of dogs and outside of the Black Hills Fire Protection District on private land with permission of the landowner or lessee. However, a pursuit of a mountain lion by dogs that originates on private land may cross over or culminate on private land with permission from the landowner or lessee or public land as long as it's not expressly prohibited by the managing entity. Well, that's also cool. Okay, so there is hound hunting for mountain lions that is happening right now as we speak in South Dakota on private lands. And if you start the race on private land and it happens to go off that private land, that's okay as well, as long as that whoever owns that land you end up on, as long as they don't expressly prohibit it. So they would have to say in there, they'd have to say somewhere, you cannot hunt lions on our ground. So that's also cool. So I'm starting to like South Dakota more and more. I don't know anything about South Dakota, but it seems like they got some good things in order. Okay, so moving on. This is the post that prompted me to look into this issue, and it was just really well written by Mr. Van Geistel here. So I'm just gonna read his post that he put on Instagram, and I would recommend you go follow him. So it's J_VANGEYSTEL. That's Django _Victor Alpha Nancy Golf Echo Yankee Sierra Tango Echo Lima. Okay, so here's his post. Pursuing mountain lions with hounds is by far the most efficient way to not only manage but also study these apex predators. Whether you're a houndsman or not, if you enjoy any sort of big game hunting, you should stand in full support of proper predator management. You simply cannot have one without the other. We as sportsmen should want to focus on the best way to manage wildlife and should always be hoping for progression towards better management practices. Supporting the use of hounds can benefit every sportsman out there, whether you like to hunt deer or elk, small game, whatever it may be. Having the right tools to do the job from start to finish is crucial, and the only way to build a solid population density model on mountain lions to help determine how they should be managed is with the use of dogs. South Dakota is fighting for hound rights right now, and every time we lose a battle around the topic of dogs in the hunting world, it only opens more doors for the trend to continue in other states. As sportsmen and people who enjoy the outdoors, we should all stand together and help each other's causes, because eventually someday your style of hunting will be on the chopping block. Very true. This public comment time period is open for everyone. You don't need to be a resident of South Dakota to have input. I can assure you that every anti-hunting organization that exists will voice their opinion during this public comment timeframe, and they will do everything in their power to sway the decision of lawmakers against the use of dogs. Being from Washington State, I have personally witnessed this happen, and it makes what is already an uphill battle that much more difficult. Take 2 minutes and reach out to lawmakers in South Dakota. Voice your support for the use of hounds to pursue and better manage mountain lion populations. Very well put, James. I hope to chat with you someday about this topic. Yeah, very, very exciting stuff. We'll be praying for you, South Dakota, that you get your hound season expanded, because that would be pretty awesome. And I just know it's going to help those mountain lions thrive. It's going to help the hound hunters. It's going to help everybody out. So yeah, we're rooting for you, South Dakota. Oh yeah, that's another thing. If you go to James's Instagram profile, he has a fundraiser for this right now. And it's hosted through Howl for Wildlife. I'm going to do a little rundown of some current issues that Howl for Wildlife is pushing for right now. But yeah, that's it sounds like I couldn't find that fundraiser on Howl for Wildlife's website, but if you go to James's Instagram profile, you can donate through his page. I did it. It was pretty easy. It's all done through Instagram. And I was able to use PayPal. So, it's pretty secure doing it that way. Yeah. And I also saw that Instagram, Meta, Facebook, whatever, Zuckerberg, they actually cover the transaction fees. So your full $10 goes to the organization. I thought that was pretty nice. There's a lot of problems with these big tech platforms, but hey, when they do something right, I feel like you got to recognize it. So that's cool. So moving on, I want to pull up the Howl for Wildlife page and just do and kind of talk about a couple issues that they're highlighting right now. Okay, so now I'm on the Howl for Wildlife website, which I think everyone needs to check out. If you are a hunter, even if you just like animals living free on the landscape, you need to check out Howl for Wildlife, because they support our way of life. They advocate for what we like to do, and they make this whole process of, communicating to legislators, they make it super streamlined, and they make it just so easy to do. So basically, you go to this website, you go to Take Action, and I'm not going to highlight everything, but there's a couple important ones that for our neighbors up in Canada. So our fellow North Americans, they get hammered pretty hard with everything that goes against what we like to do. So hunting, fishing, being free, free speech, owning guns, all that kind of stuff. They just get hammered. So, yeah, this one here I thought would be important to talk about. So take action against Canada's gun confiscation bill. So yeah, they're trying to confiscate our Canadian brothers, trying to take their guns away, which is not okay. It's very bad. So let me just read this page here. So the debate over Canada's gun confiscation bill, C-22, was abruptly ended in early May when the federal government passed a motion to restrict parliamentary and committee debate on the proposed gun bill. Bill C-22 subsequently passed a vote in the House of Commons and will now move to the Senate to debate. Bill C-22 was known as the Handgun Bill, and after October 22, handguns can no longer be imported, sold, or transferred in Canada. Can you believe that? No, you can't own a handgun. That's just insane. It's like a death sentence for people. You can't defend yourself with a handgun. Okay, dude. What the heck? Then in November 2022, the federal government introduced two completely unexpected amendments to Bill C-22, which prohibited 514 guns plus variants. So not just handguns, it sounds like. The bottom line, these amendments are meant to ban hunting firearms and antiques. The amendments were withdrawn by the federal government. However, if Bill C-21 passes the Senate and becomes the law, the federal government can ban those same hunting firearms via an order in council. So they're not going, they've gone after the handguns. Now they're going after the long guns. So, what people used to hunt with, which is just crazy. and defend their property. There's grizzly bears in Canada. There's wolves. There's every toothy creature you can imagine. Like, if you're a farmer, what are you going to do? How are you going to defend your livestock? In 2021, the use of legally owned firearms represented 0.2% of all violent crimes involving a firearm, yet the government's prohibition on firearms are aimed at lawful firearm owners. Please contact the members of the Senate and respectfully ask them to vote against Bill C-21. There are 2 tabs below. The first is the action page for Canadian residents, where the pre-drafted emails and subject lines are tailored for residents of Canada. The second tab is for U.S. residents, more relevant messages about hunting tourism to be sent on your behalf. When you take action, you'll be individually emailing 15 randomly selected members of the Canadian Senate, 89 in total. One of thousands of different examples will pop up below for you to send, or you can edit and write your own. In fact, we encourage you to write your own or add to ours for an even more unique message. All right, so I'm going to do this right now. So I haven't signed this one yet. I try to sign all of them when I can. But okay, so this is the Canadian one. So we're going to go to the U.S. residents one. They're looking for 1,000 of these. They only have 427. So if anyone listening to this, go and do it. Help them out, because we need them to help us out when it's our turn, when we're on the chopping block. Okay, so here's what it says. So, as a hunter from the United States, I've considered coming to Canada for a guided hunt. However, the recent introduction of Bill C-21 has made me rethink. I'm apprehensive about having my hunting firearms confiscated at the border due to these new regulations. I urge you to oppose these bills targeting hunting firearms. Okay. I don't know enough about, I'm not going to add anything to it. I'm just going to send it off just like this. I think that's totally fine. And here we go. Well, bam. Boom. We did it. Okay. Let's do another one. Yay. Well, I'm not going to donate money to it because I need to buy dog food. So, sorry guys. Talking about it on the internet. So, hey, that counts for something, right? And then the other one that jumped out at me, this one. Wolves need to be managed in British Columbia to save endangered caribou herds. Support BC's endangered caribou. Embrace science-based wolf control for a thriving ecosystem. The North American model of wildlife conservation states, scientific management is the proper means for wildlife conservation. There is a growing body of science showing that the reduction in wolf density in British Columbia's caribou recovery areas is helping endangered caribou recover. There is no rational basis to argue over the effectiveness of wolf control. For example, the Clinza caribou herd in northeastern BC has tripled in the last decade. The Ilgachu's herd increased by 30% in 1 year because wolf control is part of the suite of conservation actions being used to halt the decline of endangered caribou herds. There are numerous groups that continue to petition the government to end the wolf cull. These groups are trying to sway public opinion by misrepresenting the science and fabricating fictional emotional stories about wolves. These groups never educate the public about how the wolf control program is helping to save endangered caribou. They simply deny the science. The government's wolf control program takes place in 13 of 54 caribou recovery management areas, yet anti-predator management groups typically portray the government as eradicating wolves from the entire province. The wolf control program is only removing around 1 to 2% of the provincial population of wolves each year. The wolf control program is not threatening wolves with extinction. Wolves are still ranked as abundant and secure in the province. The removal of a tiny fraction of the provincial population of wolves in very specific locations is helping to halt the extinction of caribou, and this conservation action needs to be defended. The anti-predator control groups are not interested in saving endangered caribou. Their end game is to end predator hunting and trapping and eventually end all hunting and trapping. So this is why I'm talking about this on a hound hunting podcast. Wolves are not friendly to hounds, as we know. And these groups who are advocating for people to not control wolves, they are also against us houndsmen. So that's why it's important to talk about and support these kind of actions because it's all kind of all part of the same fight. It's time to stop the anti-predator management groups in their tracks and let all the elected officials in BC know that conservationists from across North America support the BC government's science-based program to save caribou, which includes its wolf control program. Okay. When you take action, you'll be emailing British Columbia's members of the Legislative Assembly. 1 over 80 different examples by varying size and content will pop up below for you to send, or you can edit and write your own. In fact, we encourage you to write your own. So that's actually a new thing. So this deal where it actually pops up with like a random one, that's kind of new. It used to be just, it would have all the same responses that get sent out, but it sounds like now it's randomizing it a bit to make it seem more, that way all these legislators aren't just getting spammed with this boilerplate emails over and over. So that's pretty cool. We're gonna sign this one and send it off as well. Okay, let's see what it says. British Columbia's wolf control program is an essential component of the efforts to restore endangered caribou populations. By leveraging scientific research and evidence, the program has fostered the growth of herds such as Klinsza and Itcha Ilgachus. The program emphasizes reducing wolf density in areas where caribou populations are most vulnerable, increasing the survival rates of caribou calves. Habitat loss and fragmentation have left caribou more exposed to predation by wolves. BC's predator management program arises to the challenge with a comprehensive strategy that includes habitat restoration and targeted wolf control measures. Support BC's science-backed predator management program, working to ensure the thriving coexistence of healthy wolf populations and recovering caribou herds. Okay, so there's just one for this one. And we're going to add our Howl. So there we go. Okay, and there it is. We did it. And now it's going to ask us for money, and that's great. If you can, you should donate money. I need to use these funds for dog food, so I won't be donating today. But again, I talked about it on the internet. That counts for something. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this next one, we're moving into the realm of just strange things involving wildlife. So this story is coming from Field and Stream. It was all over, with a lot of these stories, a lot of different news outlets will all cover them. Most of just the traditional news places, they leave out key details because they're trying to shape the narrative, so to speak, omitting certain details that hunters might find interesting, but the general public might be offended by, so they leave it out. I found that Field and Stream, Outdoor Life, they do a better job at kind of representing what has actually happened and leaving some of those key details in. So that's why, when I see a story on Field and Stream or Outdoor Life or those bigger outdoor websites, they're usually a little more interesting, little better written. So here we go. Arizona man finds live bobcat behind the front grille of his car. Arizona Game and Fish Department officers sedated and removed the bobcat before returning it to the wild unharmed. And here's a picture of it. So in the picture on the left, it's got a red circle showing the bobcat's face. So yeah, I think this is like a Toyota crossover kind of SUV, like one of those small little SUV cars. And somehow he hit the bobcat and it got stuck behind his grill and it was fully alive. And then on this right side here, looks like there's the catch pole they used. And then there's a dart sticking out of it. So they sedated the little critter before pulling it out, which, yeah, I can't imagine trying to get that thing out without sedating it. The morning commute for an Arizona man turned scratch your eyes out crazy recently. Ooh, spicy opening line. The unidentified man heard an unusual noise under his hood when he arrived at work and put his car in park. The noise belonged to a bobcat the driver didn't know he had hit on his way in. How do you not know you hit a bobcat? That's kind of crazy. You'd feel like you would, feel something. He looked under the hood and saw two eyeballs looking at him, posted Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. The collision happened in Gila Bend, Arizona in May, but photos of the scene didn't surface until July. One of the images shows the trapped cat laying inside the engine area, alert, while looking out through the hard plastic mesh frame of the vehicle's front grille. It wasn't really in the engine compartment. I mean, it was in front of the radiator. KOLD reports that Arizona Game and Fish Department sedated the wild animal before pulling it out of the grill. It was then released back into the wild, surprisingly, with no injuries. Even crazier, this isn't the first stray cat caught in a car this year. In April, another bobcat was found inside the front bumper in Wisconsin. The cat wasn't sedated when it was extracted. As this body cam shows, it came out swinging while being moved by conservation officers from car engine to truck bed along with a long, firm-handled catch pole. It, too, was returned to the wild uninjured. Okay, I feel like we need to watch that body cam footage, so let me pull that up. Okay, so here we go. So this is on 12 News, kwch.com. Okay, Wichita, Kansas. In what Portage County, Wisconsin Sheriff Mike Lucas called a first, a bobcat stuck in the grill of a car was freed by members of the department this week. Wait, when did this happen? This was in April. Okay, so not too long ago. In a Facebook post made that includes a video of the incident seen below, Lucas wrote that a call was received in which the caller said, "I have a bobcat in my car." Okay, so here's that body cam footage. This is the separate incident back in April. Oh, shit.
Bobcats where I live have smaller paws than that.
All right, so for the listeners, got like 4 or 5 cops with a catch pole trying to extract this bobcat from the bumper.
Then we'll close the tailgate.
And these boys did not sedate this bobcat like the other story did.
You around it now. I didn't know on a girl once like this one, huh?
He said he's had an owl in a grill before. Oh, they're bringing it out. Oh, they got it. Oh, damn, that's a big cat. Okay, so they got it out with a catch pole, and then they threw it into a truck bed that has like a tonneau cover on it and slammed the tailgate, so it's in a truck bed right now. Oh my God, that was awesome.
That's spot right there.
That's freaking hilarious. Okay, very nice. Okay, so that's pretty much that story. So Bobcat got stuck in a grill, and I guess it's something that can happen. So watch out. All right, another story coming from Field and Stream. This one's a little crazier. So giant beaver, which anything that starts with giant beaver, I'm in. Giant beaver with rabies attacks young girl swimming in Georgia lake. The girl's father beat the beaver to death after it bit her leg. Good job, Daddy. Nice work. And in case you're wondering what a beaver looks like, that's what a beaver looks like. Look at those dang teeth. Can you imagine getting bit by those? Holy cow. Earlier this month, a rabid beaver went after a girl while she was swimming in Lake Lanier in Gainesville, Georgia, about 50 miles northeast of Atlanta. According to local news outlet WDUN, the girl's father interrupted the attack with blunt force, killing the 55-pound beaver, but not before it bit his daughter's leg. Holy cow, that seems like a giant beaver. An official with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, GDNR, said it was the biggest beaver he'd ever seen in the Peach State and attributed its aggressive behavior to a rabies infection. Rabies is more common in raccoons, but it's not unheard of in beavers. The attacking animal was most likely infected by another critter in the area, where warning signs are now posted. The CDC says the virus can take days to months to activate in its host and induces bouts of delirium and hallucinations before eventually leading to death. Once the rabies virus gets into the brain of the animal, in this case a beaver, they just act crazy, GDNR Supervisor Don McGowan told WSB TV. So, giant beaver, poor girl. I hope she's okay. Nothing else to really talk about that one other than it's just kind of crazy, and I like talking about crazy stuff. All right, and our last news story for today. Biden's German Shepherd, Commander, is in the doghouse after 10 biting attacks. And this one, this story was on The Guardian, which I believe is a UK newspaper. Some of their, sometimes they write their stories in kind of a funny way where they're kind of taking these little jabs at us Americans all the time. It's a little kind of amusing. And this was by Richard Luscombe, published on July 25th, 2023. Okay, so I think this is an actual picture of this dog. Let's move on here. So he was introduced as a smaller and friendlier version of Joe Biden's dog, Major, who was banished from the White House 2 years ago after numerous biting episodes. Now, the first pooch, Commander, is in the doghouse himself after chomping down on several people, including a Secret Service agent who needed hospital treatment for their wounds. Details of the German Shepherd's transgressions have come via a public information request filed by the conservative activist group Judicial Watch, which specializes in alleged misconduct by government officials. The records paint a picture of a strong, growing dog, increasingly out of control, including one episode when the First Lady, Jill Biden, could not prevent him from charging at an officer. According to the group, Commander, aged almost 2, broke protocol at least 10 times in a 5-month period, including 3 serious incidents that took place in the space of just a few weeks. In the first, which took place on British dates, November 3rd last year, he bit a uniformed Secret Service agent on the arm and thigh, requiring the White House physician's office to send the victim to the hospital. Dang. The officer told superiors he had to use a steel cart to shield himself from the animal and was in a considerable amount of pain. Yeah, no kidding. German Shepherds can bite hard. The second significant episode took place weeks after when Biden released Commander from his leash and into the Kennedy Garden of the White House following a family movie night, whereupon the dog bit a separate Secret Service officer's hand and arm. So he released Commander from his leash. So he just turned the dog loose. This dog that's known to bite people. My goodness. And it seems Commander's poor decisions are not confined only to his residence at the Capitol. Okay, are they the dog's poor decisions or the handler's poor decisions? I would lean towards it being the responsibility of the dog owner, the handler, to keep the dog from biting people. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's not what the president thinks about this. Let's see. Okay. A month after his movie night ambush, the dog bit a security technician on the back at Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware. Commander might be even more badly behaved than the records show. Judicial Watch points out that only the time frame from September 2022 until January 2023 is covered by its request. and his first 9 months at the White House and the most recent 6 months are excluded. Holy cow. These shocking records raise fundamental questions about President Biden and the Secret Service, said Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Email exchanges between Secret Service agents and their managers revealed their disdain for Commander, whom the Bidens introduced in December 2021 in a video showing the president tossing a ball to him. This is a quote. So, quote, "That's freaking crazy, that stupid dog," the superior of the November 2022 attack said. Quote, "My leg and arm still hurts. He bit me twice and ran at me twice," end quote, the victim replied, to which the first officer said, quote, "What a joke. If it wasn't the Biden's dog, he would have already been put down. Freaking clown needs a muzzle." Oh, I feel like that statement carries a lot of weight. Meanwhile, a situational awareness report dated 5 October 2022 alerted staff to a friendly soft bite. They're calling it a friendly soft bite that commander inflicted on an agent's forearm. "In light of past incidents, I just wanted to keep you all in the loop," the anonymous author wrote. So, usually if dogs are biting you, it's not really a friendly thing. It doesn't matter how hard it was either. Moving on. Barely 3 weeks later, the situation had become more critical. Commander has been exhibiting extremely aggressive behavior. An email from an officer in the agency's uniform decision wrote, "Today, while posted, he came charging at me. The First Lady couldn't regain control of Commander and he continued to circle me. I believe it's only a matter of time before an agent officer is attacked or bit." So it's extremely aggressive behavior. Like, it's one thing to like have for a dog to react to something that's happening and then they bite, but it's a little different when you have a dog that's like aggressively almost like hunting people down to bite them. That's a little bit more than just like a reactive bite, in my opinion. The prediction came true days later when the agent was hospitalized. A series of other biting incidents by Commander, some requiring medical treatment, were reported through November and December 2022. According to Judicial Watch, the dog showed a pattern of aggression in which it would chase people as they walked, then leaped to bite them. "This is a special sort of craziness." Oh, this is a quote. So, quote, "This is a special sort of craziness and corruption where a president would allow his dog to repeatedly attack and bite Secret Service and White House personnel," Fitton said, accusing the Bidens of hiding documents relating to the incidents. So to me, it sounds like they don't have a very good German Shepherd to begin with. Like, if you want to get a good one, you got to spend some serious money. And I don't know much about German Shepherds. I don't know much about dogs that do bite work. But I know that, when people are using them to actually put them to work, they're usually getting them from Europe, like Czechoslovakia, the Czech, I don't know the right term, Czech, whatever Czech is. And yeah, they import these extremely expensive dogs that are just, they're tuned in on breeding these animals. But what's his name? There's a dog trainer that I really like following. Solid Canine Training. His name's Jeff. I can't remember his last name. Yeah, he talks a lot about the problems that, a lot of people have with specifically German Shepherds, because they're just like these balls of nerve, like these nervous wrecks that all this crazy behavior just comes out in all kinds of weird, squirrely ways. And they're such a powerful dog that, like, if you have a dog like that goes rogue on you, like, it's going to do some damage. When they're talking about the behavior of it, like chasing people down and wanting to bite them, it sounds like they've probably done some bite work with this dog. Like, you see videos all over on my Instagram feed anyway, I see tons of videos of, people training bite work. And the way that works is you have they call them a decoy. So, the person it's the person who's in the padded suit or has like a padded arm protector and arm sleeve. They train the dog to go and run and jump and attack that person and bite them and hold on until they're, told to stop holding on. They're not supposed to let go. So this just sounds like maybe that dog has had some of that kind of training, but they didn't really maybe they didn't do the more like just normal dog training. Maybe it's just lacking in that kind of stuff, and it just doesn't know the difference between playtime and bite time. Who knows? Sounds like they just need to do something with that dog, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, so last slide here on this one. The White House said the Bidens will provide more training and improved control techniques for Commander. They have been partnering with the Secret Service and executive resident staff on additional leashing protocols and training, as well as establishing designated areas for Commander to run and exercise. Elizabeth Alexander, communications director for the First Lady, told CNN. The President and the First Lady are incredibly grateful to Secret Service and executive resident staff for all they do to keep them, their family, and their country safe. Aw, how nice of them. Craziness. Anyways, that's all I got for the news today. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. And what was I going to tell you? Last thing I was going to share with you is that, the hotline, the Hound on the Run hotline is open. So if you want to share any insights, you want to leave a voicemail for me related to the podcast, and if you do that, I might play your voicemail on the podcast. I want to get a kind of a conversation going with everybody. So that phone number is 971-301-4884. So give us a call. It goes straight to voicemail. Leave us a voicemail. You can leave multiple if you want. I want to hear stories. I want to hear feedback. I want criticism, fact checks, basically anything you want to say that relates to the podcast. I want to hear it directly from your vocal cords. So give us a call and leave us a message. We also have I've also been taking part in a series of live streams with a group I call the Hound Tubers. So these are guys who are on YouTube creating awesome videos about hound hunting. And we've been going live on YouTube every Monday night. This week, we had scheduling conflicts, so it's not happening on Monday night. It's actually happening today. I'm recording this on Sunday, and that's happening at. Well, this might be published by the time it's already happening. It might be too late, but anyways, it's happening at 3:30 Pacific time. So yeah, it's happening with. It's on the Interviews, Stories, and Tales YouTube channel, which is run by Brett Vaughn, who his main channel is called Born 100 Years Too Late. So check those out. Go subscribe to him. Like all his videos. They're awesome. He's the OG Hound tuber. We also have Chris Watson, his YouTube channel is called Anecdote of a Houndsman. We have George Lambert, who is his channel is called Mountain Music and Mules, and he does a ton of bear hunting. He's an epic bear hunter. He catches all kinds of bears. And we have Jonathan Jones. Jonathan, I think he used to run hounds and cur dogs and stuff, but he doesn't do that much anymore. And now his YouTube channel is called Uncle Papa Johnny, and it's all about cooking and barbecuing and like brining deer legs and making all kinds of cool stuff. He was telling us about a blackberry cobbler that he made. So yeah, check him out. And this live stream every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on YouTube, except for this week, which is happening on Sunday. So check it out. Anyways, that is all I have for you this week. Thank you all so much for the support you've been showing me. Go ahead and make sure you're subscribed to Hound on the Run on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow me, check me out on Facebook. I haven't been posting anything on there, but I'm planning on getting that Facebook page rolling here shortly. Anyways, yeah, I put up this picture of of my dogs on one of my favorite roads to go bobcat hunting on. And man, it got me excited for this fall. I cannot wait till hunting season is here. And on that note, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.